Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last week we took on Pokemon Emerald with a single Magnemite, a run that was horrible in places, but overall, maybe not as bad as I feared it would be. Let's move on again this week and head to Sinnoh. It's my first ever Pokemon Platinum run as we ask the question of whether or not I can beat it with just a single Buizel. Now Buizel, it's a pretty basic water type from Gen 4. If you've played that game, you've probably used one before. We've got a base stat total of 330, which is the same as Lovedisk, Teddiursa, Aaron and Houndour, amongst others. We're a fast mix attacker with low defences, so that could be problematic. We are weak to Grass and Electric, Gyms 2 and 8 respectively, and resist Water, Steel and Ice, Gyms 5, 6 and 7, as well as Fire, which is one of the Elite 4. Move-wise, what we learn naturally is pretty underwhelming. Sonic Boom might be useful early game, and Water Gun will be handy for the Rock Gym. I can see Aqua Jet being useful. Maybe I might get some use out of Pursuit at some point. Most of the latest stuff like Whirlpool and Razor Wind aren't that amazing. TM-wise though, there is a lot of decent stuff in there. We get some decent coverage. There's good water moves with Water Pulse, Brine, Waterfall, and even Surf, depending on the attacking route that I do choose. There's Ice Beam, which will likely be invaluable, as well as Rock Tomb, Brick Break, Dig, Return, Hidden Power, Iron Tail, all of which could be useful. There is a Move Tutor, but unless I want Dive or Ice Punch, nothing there is really spectacular. Predictions then. Grass Gym could be awkward, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Maybe the Ice Gym with the Abomasnow could cause some problems. I don't know how the Electric Gym will go late game, but probably won't be easy. I think we will have a problem versus tough water types, especially Gyarados and maybe Milotic at the end. Team Galactic, particularly Cyrus, are liable to be aggravating. Cynthia will probably be her usual fun self at the end, but the rest of the Elite Four might not be so bad. Just the rules then. I can only use Buizel in combat, other Pokemon will be needed for HMs, but unable to fight. I can only use held items and Pokeballs in battle, but can heal outside of battle. Last of all, no glitches or exploits. If you do enjoy what you see, like, subscribe and ring the bell. I've done challenges in Pokemon Pearl before, but this is my first Platinum one. I can recall there is some difference, but Oh crap, there's the Distortion World in this one, isn't there? Anyway, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Piplup with Buizel so that I can do the whole run with it. Buizel isn't that much better than Piplup actually, BST wise, only 16 points in it. Being fair, Empoleon is only 35 base stat total better than Floatzel. I don't care much for Floatzel though, design wise. We immediately have a rival battle straight after, unlike in Diamond and Pearl, where my Buizel faces off against Rod's Turtwig, and unfortunately for him, we have Sonic Boom, which does a fixed 20 points of damage, which can be lethal at this level. It crashes into Turtwig and immediately ends it. That was quick. Our Buizel has the mild nature, so increased special attack and less defense. That might not be too bad. I mean, we were going to be frail anyway, but now, yikes. More special attack is good though. We also have the Swift Swim ability, so if anyone wants to make it rain, we're pretty golden. Fun fact, Buizel's shiny is actually gold, I believe. I digress. Anyway, once we get to Sandgem Town and meet Professor Rowan there, I nickname our Buizel Ringo for the flotation pouch around its neck, like a rubber ring. Do nicknames work when you have to explain them? I don't know. Before I do much else, I head north of Jubilife City to the Ravaged Path to do some EV training on the Zubat and Psyduck that live there for speed and special attack EVs. So far, Platinum is different than the Pearl challenges in a few respects, and I wonder how often I'll get caught out by something. I think we fight the gyms in a different order here too. I think the Ghost Gym is third here, rather than fifth as it is in Diamond and Pearl. All interesting changes. One thing that doesn't change is the rival fight just outside Jubilife, and we saunter out to face off against him. This time isn't hard as his Starly goes down to a single crit water gun, which is handy. Turtwig is tough enough to survive Sonic Boom this time, but only goes to withdraw, and a second Sonic Boom takes it down, whereupon we learn Swift after levelling up, which will be useful for now. In Oreburgh City, I can challenge for the first gym badge, and the leader, Roark, specialises in the rock type. So, given that we've got a water type, we should have a pretty decent advantage here. But let us see how we do. Hopefully, Craniados doesn't cause problems because it can hit like a frigging train. Geodude gets one hit by our 4 times super effective water gun and promptly goes down. For Onyx, yeah, it doesn't fare any better and gets duly taken down in the same way. The Craniodose is last, and this one only has a single weakness to water, not double like the other two, but we take it down in one hit with Water Gun, and I'm surprised. Anyway, next, we've got the Windworks fight next with the Team Galactic Commander, and I think this one could be bad. Mars uses a Pure Ugly, and that thing has the capacity to hit like a tank. We might outspeed it for once though. Pure Ugly, that huge fat cat, actually has a higher base speed than either Latios or Latias, two dragon types that were modelled on jet planes. Work that one out. Anyway, we get unlucky versus a Zubat as it uses Toxic on us. We can too hit it with Aqua Jet, but the damage is done. Pure Ugly's priority Fake Out beats the priority Aqua Jet and we flinch. It hits us twice with Feint Attack, and despite landing an Aqua Jet and a crit Water Gun to weaken it, we go down to the Dark type blows and the poison damage. Ouch. Let us try this again when we're a bit stronger. I try again at level 24 and give Ringo a Peachy Berry just to remove any toxicity in his blood if need be. This time though, the Zubat doesn't go for Toxic. I'm sure I've seen this gen's mechanics do that before somewhere, and we too hit it again. The Pure Ugly, well, it goes for Fake Out and crits to put us on the half health mark and lands 3 scratches, which puts us down, even though we were one hit away from knocking it out. If that hadn't crit, we'd have won. So, let's do it again. Third attempt though, everything goes right. We too hit the Zubat and it even misses Toxic, so we still have the Berry. The Pure Ugly doesn't crit this time, we can Water Gun it into submission. I think, under normal circumstances, a cat would win a fight with a Weasel, but in this case it didn't. Mind you, cats don't like water either, so I don't know what to make of this whole analogy. Let's move on before it confuses us further. Next major fight is the Gardenia one in the Eterna gym, and if we had an advantage for the first gym, we're pretty screwed for this one because grass is super effective against us. I make a try at level 32, but I'm not confident, put it that way. Her Roserade can be an absolute monster. In the end, the Roserade is irrelevant. We too hit Turtwig with Swift, but it does a third of our health in damage with Razor Leaf. Cherim is tanky though, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say, and survives 2 Swifts and takes us out with 2 uses of Magical Leaf. Maybe I need better moves, or failing that, more power! I grind up another 4 levels and make another try. If this doesn't do it, I wonder if Return might be a better option. It should hit hard, so I'll see how attempt 2 goes. So, we too hit Turtwig with Swift, it only puts Reflect up as a defence, and given that we're using special moves, that's not a problem. The issue comes with Cherim, as we could too hit it, but it lands a Leech Seed, and by the time we knock it out with Swift, it's done for a quarter of our health. At least we get to Roserade this time, but not for long as it paralyses us and shrugs off both Swift and Aqua Jet before a combination of Grass Knot and Leech Seed damage takes us down. That went better than the first attempt, but I suppose it couldn't have gone much worse. What follows is another mega grinding session. I'll try again a little stronger and see how we do. While I'm grinding, I figure I might as well talk about why Platinum and not Pearl. Just for the change, I guess. I think there's a case to say that Platinum is harder, even if some of the levels of the opponent's Pokemon are higher in Diamond and Pearl. But I guess we'll have to see which Gen 4 game I favour more going forward. Only time will tell, I guess. Level 39, and I make attempt number 3. This attempt is close. We are almost at the point where we can one-hit Turtwig. It survives and puts the Reflect up, but we knock it out, despite her trying to preserve it with a Super Potion. Cherim hits a Magical Leaf, which does pretty decent damage considering the level gap, but we do knock it out eventually. Roserade, we hit Swift on for decent damage, but it paralyses us with Stun Spore. I hit it with a few Aqua Jets that would probably have ended it had she not healed again. But again, it's too much to take it down, and we fail miserably. Screw it, let's get to level 40 and try Return. And this is, well, I wonder how much grinding I could have saved myself. Turtwig is a one-hit with Return. That's good. Cherim survives on a sliver of health and hits a Grass Knot for pretty decent damage. But even as Gardenia heals, we take it out with another Return. Before, perhaps, most surprising of all, we one-hit Roserade with Return to take it down. I guess Ringo must be pretty happy then. We have the Team Galactic Jupiter fight next, and this one shouldn't be too bad. I mean, we've got to be roughly double her levels, so that Gardania grind was good for something then. When the Jupiter fight begins, I send Ringo to face Zubat and immediately smack it out cold with an Aqua Jet. Cold and wet. That's good. Next is her Skunk Tank, and I call for a return, which crits and one hits it for the win, and we can move on. We have the Ghost Gym next in Hearthome City, and I prep by getting the Shell Bell in the same city. This is a different kettle of fish entirely to Diamond and Pearl, and so I work my way through the gym puzzle to face Fantina. This first fight is a loss, and it probably was on the wall as early as the first turn. Duskull survives Water Gun and burns Ringo with Will-O-Wisp, meaning that our physical attacks aren't much good. So I have to rely on Water Gun, which does, fair enough, finish off Duskull. Though we hit Miss Magius with 2 Water Guns, it's not enough to knock it out, and a combination of Shadow Ball and Magical Leaf are enough to end Ringo. So I rethink my strategy. Do I have to do this gym now, I wonder, or can I come back with some better moves? Actually, I can't get Surf until I get to Celestic Town, which is way further on, but can I leave the city? Let's find out. No we can't, so I guess I have to beat Fantina then. A few levels higher and I make another try on her. This time we use Aqua Jet on Duskull and it goes for Future Sight rather than Will-O-Wisp. We have to 2-hit it after she heals it, but we come out of the fight without being burned. Miss Magius is a 2-hit with Pursuit, but it does confuse us and hits a Magical Leaf which eats into Ringo's health. It looks dicey for a moment until we fight through the confusion and end it. Haunter, again, we fight through the confusion and 1-hit it with Pursuit. Woo! I think there's a rival fight next, and I'm right as we face off with Rod. He has a Staravia now, and I'm pretty sure that in Diamond and Pearl it's still a Starly here, so we get intimidated right off the bat. We 1-hit it with Water Gun though. Grotle, up next, is a 3-hit with Return, though it does land a few Razor Leafs that deal big damage. Thankfully, it never crit with the move though. Buizel is a 1-hit with Return, before Ponyta, Outlast, is a single hit with Water Gun. What happens next is a huge session of fighting endless trainer battles with the Versus Seeker as I make my way to Veilstone City and the Game Corner, getting enough money to buy the Ice Beam TM. Now that move might not be useful against Maylene, but it's definitely going to be a move that will benefit us the rest of the game. Mind you, scratch that, Ice Beam is pretty powerful as Maylene finds out. We've built up a massive level advantage due to the scrapping around for money. Meditite goes down to Ice Beam. I also taught Ringo Dig to use against electric types if need be, and it's enough to 1-hit the Lucario, so that's not a problem. Machoke, Outlast, also goes down to Ice Beam. That's done, let's head to Pastoria City. Before we can enter the water gym, there is a rival fight, and if Diamond and Pearl, this is after the gym rather than before, which is a neat little change. This is not a hard fight now that we've got Ice Beam, as I freeze Staravia to death in 1 hit before doing the same to his Grottle. Maybe in hindsight, Empoleon might have been the hardest for us to fight. Ah well. Ponyta goes down to Water Gun, that's getting replaced as soon as I get Surf, and Buizel goes down to Return. Easy money. Crash Awake might not be so easy though. Remember what I said at the start about dealing with bulky water types? Well, he's got 2 of them. This gym, I always think, is basically the water temple from Ocarina of Time, but without the saving grace of having to play an Ocarina. Anyway, when we get to Crash Awake, Gyarados isn't as bad as I feared, despite the Intimidate. We hit 2 Ice Beams on it to knock it out, it lands only a bite in retaliation, which we do tank okay due to the level lead we've built up. Floatzel does hit a few crunches on us, but never looks like knocking us out, as we hit it with a dig and 2 returns to knock it down and out for the count. Last is Quagsire, and I actually love the colouring on the sprite here. Anyway, 1 Ice Beam is enough to put it in red health, but it lands a crit mud shot for decent damage. But after Wake heals it, 2 more Ice Beams are enough to take it down. Over to Celestic Town then, and we couldn't get here earlier because we needed the secret potion from Cynthia. There is a fight with Cyrus, which is unique to Platinum entirely because this doesn't happen in Diamond and Pearl. When we fight, his Sneasel goes down to Return. At least I don't need to worry about being outsped. Golbat goes down to Ice Beam. His Murkrow, Outlast, goes down the same way. And with that, we get the Surf HM, which will improve our attacking prowess considerably. With the exception of maybe Scald in later gens, Surf has a very good case to be the best water move, in my opinion. In Canalave City, before we can tackle the gym, we've got another rival fight to get out of the way, and this one is just as smooth as the last. Staraptor goes down to Ice Beam, but the Intimidate will be annoying for the rest of the fight, particularly with one of his Pokemon. Torterra is 4 times weak to Ice Beam and is duly ended. Rapidash goes down to Surf. Heracross survives Surf and hits a Brick Break, but we tank it and finish it with Return. Versus Floatzel, we hit a Dig to put it on yellow health before getting tagged with Swift, but Return finishes it off. I can see us having possible issues when he gets his Snorlax, but that is not yet. Steel-type Jimmy's next, and this one shouldn't be that bad either. I kind of think the worst one of Byron's team might be Bronzor, if I'm honest. And then I get a right surprise as I found out that Bronzor has been replaced by Magneton in Platinum. Thanks to last week's run though, I had it reinforced just about how well electric and steel types do versus ground moves, and we end it with Dig. Steelix goes down to Surf as expected, and the Bastiodon Outlast is one hit by that move as well. 6 badges down. We've got to head to face Saturn at Lake Valor next, and while I'm in Veilstone, I discover we have an Ice-type hidden power, so that's not useful given that we have a better Ice move. Saturn isn't the hardest of the 3 commanders. His Golbat is floored by Ice Beam before the Bronzor comes out next, and I one-hit it with Surf. So far, so good. Toxicroak gets taken down next with a Dig, and he is done. Back to Lake Verity next, and it's time to take on Mars once again. We've got better moves now than we did before, so it goes easier, and similarly to the Saturn fight if I'm honest. Golbat goes down to Ice Beam before the Bronzor goes down to Surf. The Pure Ugly does at least put up a fight, hitting a fake out to flinch Ringo, but a Wise Glasses boosted Surf one hits it on the next go. The next fight is the 7th gym, the Ice Gym, and I have some painful memories of this from the last Sinnoh run I did with a single Bronzor, where it proved to actually be harder than expected. We'll have to see how we do versus Candice here. We knock the Sneasel out with Surf, that's not a problem, but I don't get what happens versus the Abomasnow. The damage range screws us is my guess. We hit a Return on it before it wipes out most of our HP with Woodhammer, leaving us on red health. She heals it and I land 2 returns on it, expecting a knockout, but it barely survives and finishes us off with Focus Blast. Nuts. So, I have a plan. Choice Specs and Surf. See how we do with this. Hopefully, we can really screw her up. That hail is going to be an issue though. When we knock Sneasel out with Surf, I'm still indifferent as to how things will go. We smash into Abomasnow with a resisted Surf and maybe do 3/5 its health. But she goes for Avalanche, which we tank incredibly well and finish it off at the next attempt with Surf. Oh yes. Frostlass is next, and I think if we can get the hit, we'll be fine. I'm right. 1 Surf takes it down before the Piloswine goes down to Surf as well, which doesn't surprise me. 7 badges down. Let's go after Team Galactic now. There is another Cyrus fight in Veilstone City, and we run headlong into that one. He's definitely a creepy villain with his aims. His Sneasel goes down to Surf. I should be versed at fighting these things now. Before the Crobat, something that evolves via happiness, by the way, owned by a man who regards emotions as useless, goes down to Ice Beam. The Honchkrow goes down the same way. Next, there is a rematch with Saturn, and I'm feeling pretty confident given the way the last fight went. This whole lab area is pretty unsettling, and this comes from someone who frequently plays Resident Evil, and there's a standard there for dodgy lab settings. Golbat goes down to Ice Beam, Bronzor goes down to Surf, and the Toxicroak is last, and I duly knock it out with Dig. Let's head to Mount Coronet and probably the most annoying fight of the entire game. I've got a plan for the Mars and Jupiter double battle. It's called Choice Specs and Surf and see what happens. Could be risky, could be promising, we'll have to see. While I'm on the way there, I'm just going to say that by the time this goes live, the Last of Legends Arceus Let's Play should be uploaded, and I might even have started with the next of the Switch Let's Plays. Next week's Pokemon Challenge will be yellow with a single tentacle, so that one could be interesting. At least if it's Gen 1, it should go fairly quick. Speaking of fairly quick, this might be the easiest Mars and Jupiter double battle that I've ever had. I do cause a great deal of collateral damage onto the rivals team, but oh well, I'm sure I'll get over it. I pretty much sweep through the entire fight with Surf, just as I plan to do so, knocking out each and every other Pokemon on the battlefield, including the rivals Munchlax, Rapidash and Heracross. So that makes it Ringo 9, everything else 0, nothing even lands a hit. I know we've got a massive level advantage and we're boosted in attack, but I really wasn't expecting it to go that well. It's Cyrus next. We've got a big cutscene where he quite literally bites off more than he can chew by trying to change the world and ends up summoning something pretty bad. I would be tempted to leave him in that hole if it was up to me, but I suppose someone should go and stop Giratina from eating his soul or whatever happens in the Distortion world. I always thought what happened in the Distortion world stays in the Distortion world. We get to him and thankfully we win because I really didn't want to go through this place again. I'd forgotten what a big pain the Distortion world was. Houndoom is a one hit with Surf as might be expected. Gyarados goes down to 2 Ice Beams in a return, hitting an Earthquake for about a quarter of our health and missing a Giga Impact which could have messed us up. Honchkrow goes down to Ice Beam, but Weavile is a 2 hit with Surf. However, it can't really hurt us even with a Night Slash. Last is Crobat and it's a 1 hit wonder with Ice Beam, which means that we've ended Team Galactic as a viable threat for now. Let's move on. Next is the Electric Gym, and this could go either way in terms of trickiness. I do check Volkner's team on Bulbapedia and see what he's got, because I'm sure there's one team he has where he uses a Water Absorb Lantern, but that's not the case here. Choice Specs and Surf then. That might be my best strategy. It turns out to be a pretty good one as we one hit Jolteon with Surf, and then Raichu, out next, goes down to the same move. Then Luxray goes down in 1 hit to Surf, and finally the Electivire can't stand up to it either and we get the final badge. I'll head to the Pokemon League now then. When we do get there, we've got the final mandatory rival fight, and so we set about him, though he does have one huge obstacle on his team. Anyway, the fight begins and I set about him using Ice Beam to down his intimidating Staraptor. We are used to having our attack lowered by this point. Torterra also goes down to a Soul Ice Beam. Snorlax next is a 2 hit with Surf, but it hits a Body Slam, which thankfully doesn't paralyse us. Heracross survives Surf and goes for a close combat, which does decent damage, but we knock it out with a second Surf. Floatzel we take down with Dig and Surf, getting hit with Crunch in exchange. Before last is Rapidash, and it is a 1 hit with Surf. Now that that's out of the way, here are our stats before we go into the Elite Four. That special defence is moderately worrying at level 84. The defence isn't great either, but our attack stats and speed are all good. Anyone think we can do this at this level, or do you think I'll need to be stronger? Comments down below now! Bug Trainer Aaron is first, and I go for the Choice Specs and Surf combo. This could well be the route I go for most of the Elite Four, especially numbers 2 and 3 in the sequence. Versus Aaron, Yanmega goes down to Surf. Heracross, out next, also goes down to Surf. Despiquen actually survives the first Surf, and of course the one that survives would be the one that has Pressure as an ability. Before, he does heal it, and we take it out at the second attempt, thankfully. Scizor goes down to Surf, before Drapion is last and goes the same way. I thought Drapion would survive Surf, I'm surprised, but oh well, 1 down. Ground Trainer Bertha is next, and I check her team beforehand and decide I don't want to go the Choice Specs route as she has a Whiscash, and that very Pokemon is up first. I go for the Shell Bell instead and knock it out with 2 returns, though it hits Earth Power for decent damage. Gliscor is next and it goes down to Ice Beam. Golem goes down to Surf before the Rhyperior is out next and meets the same fate as Golem as the tidal wave comes crashing down. Hippowdon goes down to an Ice Beam, and just like that, we've won. Fire Trainer Flint is up third, and I chuck the Choice Specs back on and storm out to face him. This goes about as well as you might expect as the fight begins and our speed shows. First Houndoom goes down to Surf, and then Infernape, and then Rapidash, and then Magmortar, and then finally the Flareon all hit the deck a great deal wetter than they were when the fight started. 3 down. I think I might put the Shell Bell on for Lucian. Most of his Pokemon are frail, so hopefully I can smash them out with return. The one exception to this, of course, is his Bronzong, but hopefully we can surf that thing out of existence. Anyway, we begin by hitting return on Mr. Mime, and it narrowly survives before using Reflect. He heals it, and I take it down with Surf and return. I go for a dig versus Alakazam before the Reflect goes down, and I get hit with an Energy Ball for big damage before taking it out with return. I hit Gallade with return, and it survives and ends us with Leaf Blade. Well, that didn't go as planned, did it? I wasted an Ether as well. I'm annoyed about that. Guess I'd better go and grind up a bit more then. I thought things were going too well entirely. Go grind up a few levels and take it from there. Hit Victory Road and some of the routes we didn't explore. Pick up a few items. I think we just need to be able to power through Lucian. Maybe I should look at the choice specs and Surf route. I know it's not going to work versus Cynthia, but maybe we can brute force Lucian. And when the fight begins, I'm actually amazed at how well that goes, given Psychic types stereotypically have high special defense. Mr. Mime gets one hit by Surf, and out next, so does the Alakazam. Gallade actually survives Surf, but misses Stone Edge rather than going for the super effective Leaf Blade, which was pretty daft on his part. The second Surf takes it down. Bronzong is a one hit, which I'm surprised about if I'm honest, before Espeon also goes down in one shot of Surf. Woo! Cynthia then. I wonder how bad this one will be. She's at lower levels here than Diamond and Pearl, but with a better team. I have a plan. Given that 3 of her Platinum team are weak to ice, I can use the Never Melt Ice. If it wasn't for Lucario and Milotic, I'd choice specs and Ice Beam the entire fight, but that's not an option. This almost goes so well. Spiritomb is a 2-hit with Ice Beam, hitting a Dark Pulse for decent damage on Ringo in exchange. Roserade is a 1-hit with Ice Beam. Togekiss, out next, unfortunately, survives Ice Beam and then hits Shockwave for massive damage before we take it out with the second Ice Beam. Garchomp is a 1-hit with Ice Beam, but we don't have a good answer for Milotic out next, especially when we're as weak as we are. Return doesn't do anywhere near enough damage to it, and the Milotic ends us with Surf. Hey, that's my tactic! I reboot and try again with the Shell Bell. It might be my best hope. If we can't one-hit Togekiss anyway, we might as well get health recovery. This time, we don't even get past Spiritomb. I try to use Dig to conserve PP, but it barely does any damage, and we keep getting crashed into with Shadow Balls and Dark Pulses for massive damage, so that's really not good. One more attempt and then I'll go grind again. We do knock Spiritomb out with Surf and Ice Beam, but unfortunately, when it hits the Shadow Ball, it drops our already trashed special defense, and when Roserade comes out, we can't one-hit it with Ice Beam this time, and a Sludge Bomb drops us. Time to go and grind then, because we really need to hit harder. I fight my way back to Cynthia at max level, and here are our stats at level 100. Not much more to say. Everything that was good before is better. Everything that was bad before is a little less worse. I have beaten Cynthia with less special defense before, but it is not a competition. This fight is a very, very, very interesting one. Versus Spiritomb, I go for Dig and hit it for decent damage, but then it lands a crit Shadow Ball, and I wonder if that is what's going to cost me the victory here. I finish it with Surf and get some health back. Roserade is a 1-hit with Ice Beam, I get some more health back. Togekiss is next, and it just survives Ice Beam before hitting a Shockwave that puts us on red health. She heals it, I take it down with 2 more Ice Beams, getting more health back. Garchomp is a 1-hit with Ice Beam, more health back. I do about 2/3 of Milotic's health with return, but it only goes for Mirror Coat, and a second return takes it down. Lucario is last, and I hit it with Surf. It survives on red health and lands a Stab Aura Sphere on our bad special defense that puts us back in red health. This is tense. She heals the Lucario. I land another Surf, and I hope this knocks it out, because I think it knows extreme speed, and getting hit by that would be bad with this amount of health. However, this time, Surf one-hits it, and we take it down. We beat Cynthia and win the run. We enter the Hall of Fame, and forever our victory is recorded for posterity. Well then, that was interesting. Really rough at the start with the grass gym, but up until Cynthia, I was amazed at just how smoothly the mid to end part of the game went. Buizel absolutely tore this to shreds. I think this is the first time I've won without needing to double team. Granted, we were over leveled for quite a bit of the game, but I'd needed to have done it anyway. Our first challenge in Pokemon Platinum, and I enjoyed it, the Distortion World aside. I hate that place so very, 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 very much. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge, same time next week. As I said previously, we're going to be returning to Gen 1 next week, as I see if I can beat Pokemon Yellow with just a single Tentacool. That one has potential to be interesting. If you have enjoyed what you've seen here, like and subscribe, ring the bell to stay in touch. If you have any ideas for future challenges, drop them in the comments section down below or in the description to the video. There are links to my Twitter and my Discord where they can be sent to. Always looking for good ideas. Down in the description of the video I've got links to all my other playlists on YouTube, all my Let's Plays, all that kind of thing, so check them out if you're interested. So, what's new with me then? I feel like a new horizon awaits, lots of potential for the future. I'm in my 30s now and this is the point where I should be a little more together than I actually am. Still, I can't complain too much, so I won't. There are plenty who have it worse off than me. I'm pretty happy with my lot in life. Loving the life of the unknown YouTuber at the moment, though I have had a bit of an upturn recently in terms of views and subscribers, so I am grateful for that. There are plenty of Pokemon challenges, there are plenty of YouTube videos out there, so like I said, thank you very much for picking mine. It makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time and effort. I'm also thinking of learning to ride a motorcycle too, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Anyway, with all this in mind, I think it's time for me to retreat out of here. This is Once and Future Gamer signing off. This has been Pokemon Platinum with a single Buizel. And with that in mind, take care folks and see you next time. Have a great day. Bye bye now.